I think we can all agree that Fortnite Ranked sucks. Fortnite recently hosted the $1 million Unreal Cup, an open tournament where anyone who reached Unreal rank could compete for a massive prize pool of $1 million. And because of that, hundreds of players earned money for the first time ever, with thousands of duos earning. But despite pouring all this money into the tournament, there is one big problem. Fortnite's ranked mode isn't very good right now. You're not really playing for anything, the ranking and elo system feel meaningless, and it's just not good practice, which you can see in the continuously dropping player counts. Back at Globals in September, Epic announced Rank 2.0, and a lot of players thought this could finally fix those issues. But 4 months later, we've heard nothing. Weirdly enough though, Fortnite might have already found a potential solution, with the Unreal Cup itself. So hear me out on this. While this isn't a perfect solution, and Fortnite can't afford to throw this much money at every single tournament to save rank mode, it has major positives that I want to break down into 3 sections. First, I want to talk about how the Unreal Cup actually affected rank mode itself. Next, it is also worth looking at the tournament itself, since the format was quite different from what we normally have these days, and was a nice throwback to how open tournaments used to be. Finally, it is also really important to look at how Fortnite would need to go about tournaments like the Unreal Cup in the future if they were to continue doing rank-based tournaments like this. As I mentioned, the Unreal Cup had a really positive effect on the quality of gameplay in ranked mode. This addresses a major complaint of ranked mode, which is that the gameplay quality is just really low. Players pretty much only W key, and it ends up in a lot of dead games where there are about 15 players left after the first 2 zones. There are a few reasons for this, like how players don't really have a good reason to play for placement at all, but I made a whole video talking about the issues with ranked mode like this, along with some solutions to fix it, so I won't get super deep into it here, but if you're interested in that, give it a watch. The quality of games in these ranked games was so much higher though during this time. Games were super stacked, as lots of players were trying to get to Unreal before the tournament started, so we had a ton of super stacked endgames, and some of them almost went to Surge. This is the kind of quality gameplay that a lot of people really want in ranked, where games are stacked since players actually have something to play for. Because so many players needed to get to Unreal to qualify for the Ranked Cup, the games were super stacked since people actually had a reason to grind and play for placement. Normally, nobody really cares about getting Unreal, as people really only care about PR and earnings when evaluating if players are good, and traditionally that's where all the money has been. But because there was money in actually getting to Unreal this season, it gave players a reason to play placement. Although it might be harder to W key in these games, and a lot of people like to do that, Ranked Reload and Creative both exist for players to practice aggressive fighting if ranked games would be more focused on placement. And Ranked Reload would be the perfect W key mode if they would just remove shockwaves. Please. Another important detail for why so many players wanted to grind to Unreal was the amount of money that Fortnite poured into this tournament. As the name suggests, there was $1 million in the prize pool across all of the regions, and tons of players got paid out. I think this is a relevant detail, as the scale of this tournament probably isn't as replicable, but I will get to that more later in the video. Another positive side effect of these stacked games with players trying to get to Unreal is that Ranked actually turned into pretty good practice during this time, because so many players who were at least decent at the game were playing for placement, you could get actual scrim level practice that was similar to actual tournament games because they were so stacked. This is a unique experience in Ranked, as players usually just W key, making it kind of pointless for practice, and lets people essentially queue into scrims whenever they want. The other big issue which was not resolved is that Ranked doesn't really have a good ranking or elo system, which continues to be true, but again I will talk more about that later in the video. Overall though, the quality of these games was really high in comparison to normal, and if this is something that could be replicated in the future in some form, it could change how Ranked is played forever. Next, moving on to the tournament itself. There was something weirdly nostalgic about this tournament. Because of the issues of cheaters ruining everything and causing so many tournaments to require a round 2 or a round 3 to weed out the cheaters, it was refreshing to just see a 1-round opens tournament where you could make serious money. While it is nice that there's a lot of Fortnite to watch right now with all these different rounds for each tournament, being able to have the whole tournament in 3 hours is really nice and makes those 3 hours feel really special and important. Also, opens tournaments like this give the chance for up-and-coming players to do well since they aren't relegated to a worse POI like in a finals lobby. We saw Jargu and Kingaling win on NAC, which nobody expected, which is a fun storyline as in set lobby finals, really only about 5 teams on NAC ever win. Now, this is not me hating on set lobby finals, I actually think they're amazing and make for the best storylines of course, but a single round open tournament is a really refreshing and fun setting. There was also so much content that came out of people getting earnings on multiple regions or getting their first earnings, which is great for the game. While I know that this tournament is an exception with how much money they gave away, as Epic can't afford to use $1 million of their budget all the time for opens tournaments, a 1-round tournament where tons of players could earn really felt like competitive Fortnite when it was first coming out and had insane prize pools where anybody could earn. But what does this actually look like going forward, and how would this solve ranked? Obviously, this level of prize pool isn't sustainable, but think how hard everyone grinded in ranked this season to get to Unreal. These games were stacked, and tons of people were playing it. Now imagine if every single season had an end of season or month ranked cup in some capacity. At its most basic level, having a big Unreal tournament with a solid prize pool, maybe like 100,000 across all of the regions, would give so many players a big reason to grind ranked each season, which would cause the quality of games to be much higher. There could be some issues though with how Fortnite currently has ranked mode set up. I think the best way that Fortnite can do this currently is to have a set amount of players that can make the highest rank, say maybe 100 players on each region, so it is really difficult to get to this top rank, and you can decay and get demoted out of the top rank if someone passes you. Having an actual elo system so you can't just infinitely gain points like you do now in the current rank system would be a great change. It would also be nice if you could see what your MMR or matchmaking rating is so that you have some context as to where you are in comparison to the people around your rank. Having your MMR alongside actual set ranks with a certain percentage of players who can be in each rank would make things much more clear and would actually create a positive reason to try and grind ranked and improve your ranking. Alongside this change, the top 100 players at the end of the season or end of the month would qualify for a set lobby solos tournament where they would all have the chance to win a ton of money from this big prize pool. This would guarantee that all of these players who grinded ranked would earn in some capacity through qualifying for this tournament. Alternatively, it could be a top 500 players in the highest rank, and those players would go into 5 heats where the top 20 from each of those heats would go into finals. Then, all of the players in the top 100 would be guaranteed to earn. Epic could do this instead of or in addition to doing solo series where they either have seasonal or monthly ranked tournaments like this where the people in the highest rank qualify to these tournaments and wouldn't break the bank if they did around $100,000 for each tournament. This would still give a ton of players a chance to earn and prove themselves, which would be really motivating for a lot of players. Imagine how hard players would grind to qualify for this tournament. Rank normally works in other games because it is a way for up and coming players to prove themselves, and ranking up actually means something about your skill level. Well, this would be the exact concept here. Players who grind rank could prove themselves by earning from this tournament like in other games, just with an extra step of having a tournament with the highest ranked players. In Fortnite, players usually prove themselves through tournaments to find better teammates, and making it so that ranked mode is actually related to a tournament with PR and earnings on the line where players would have to grind rank to qualify for it would make ranked super exciting for underrated players. I think it's unlikely that Epic makes cash prizes or V-Bucks available for your placement on the ranked leaderboard, and making it so that you qualify for a tournament where you have a real chance at earning is a great substitute for this. Also, having a tournament before paying out anyone who placed highly on the ranked leaderboard would give them much more time to figure out if anyone is cheating. Also, it would just take so much longer to grind a top rank to try and earn money instead of cheating in something like a victory cup, making it so much more unlikely. Now, the thing that is crucial about this is that Fortnite does need to fix the ranked system so that you can't just gain unlimited MMR for this to work. What do I mean by this? Basically, how the ranked leaderboard works now is that for good players, they can essentially just gain unlimited rank points, where the more they play, the more they gain, pretty much no matter what. This is not how a ranked system should work. You should level out and stop gaining at a certain point, where you actually need to improve at the game for you to gain more rank points and rank up. Because it is pretty much just a quantity game as of now, as the more games you play for good players, the higher in the ranked leaderboard you go, so in order to qualify for this tournament, players would just grind 14 hours a day. While we do want ranked to be fun and for players to have a reason to grind and have a lot of purpose, this is not desirable, as you shouldn't need to put this much time into qualifying for this tournament. So Fortnite needs to make it so that when you hit a certain point, your penalty for queuing up should be large enough to where if you don't win the game or something like that, you would lose points. This would really only happen at the very top of the leaderboard, but it would make it so that you can actually grind rank mode to improve your rank and not just automatically get to Unreal for playing the game for long enough and then infinitely gain ranked points as long as you play. It would also actually mean something when you rank up, as that means you either improved or your strategy got better. But given this change to the rank leaderboard where there's an actual elo system, it would make qualifying for the end of the season tournament really exciting. While it could still work to have the current rank system leaderboard qualify you to the ranked series finals or heats, I think that would reward no-lifing the game and would make it out of reach for most players who would want to play ranked. These players would need to put an absurd amount of time into ranked, which most players just don't have the time to do, which would end up meaning that most people would feel like there is no reason to grind ranked for this tournament. So that is why I think Fortnite have already figured out a simple way to fix ranked. Having an end of season or month tournament with good cash prizes across each region would allow for up and coming players to prove themselves through ranked. This would also naturally increase the quality of gameplay for the average player who would want to give their best to try and qualify for a ranked tournament. Games would be stacked, players would be interested in taking it seriously, and if they implement the solution where only a specific amount of players can be in each rank, players would have a sense of accomplishment for actually ranking up, especially to the highest rank where they could play for money. Let me know if you think this is a good solution for fixing Ranked and Ranked 2.0 in the comments below, and if you are interested in how to improve in solos ahead of Ranked 2.0 coming out, check out this video on Pixie.